Yes, there's a lot of it here, hence it's called the tropical country. Temperature here is average of minimum 28 Celsius every day, and it usually doesn't get colder than that. It usually gets hotter than that. It's, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 31, 32. I haven't had it in the 40s yet, but trust me, 28 is hot and you'll be sweating a lot. So I've mentioned this in my previous video when I was recommending what sort of clothing to bring along. Try to forget or omit your cotton clothing. Don't bring any of that here because it soaks up water, your sweat, and you're going to be sitting in wet pants, shorts, shirt, your briefs, underwear. Just try to not bring cotton stuff here at all. It really doesn't work, and it starts stinking because it doesn't dry fast, and then tomorrow it'll smell like a dish rag, even your shirt and your pants. So forget your cotton stuff. Bring the best clothes that I found here, because I used to be a cyclist in back in Canada. I had bought a lot of cycling jerseys and shorts that have the fabric is actually perforated. It's got a lot of tiny little holes in it, and it breathes very well, and especially when you're sweaty and I get on my motorcycle and I get going like even 10 kilometers an hour, the wind blows right through it and it dries you up in about 5 minutes. So the synthetic fabrics are far better than cotton. Not to mention that you're gonna have to wash your clothes quite often, and if it's cotton, it'll sit there on the line. There are no dryers here, so you'll have it on the line there for days before it's dry. And if the line is not under a cover somewhere, then they'll get rained on because it rains every day. And they'll get re-wetted every day, and then they start stinking on their own, even without you wearing them. So just bring plastic clothes, basically. That's what they are. The sports type clothing is the best one. Jeans, again, I really wouldn't recommend them. I wore my jeans, I think, twice when I first moved here. I bought my motorcycle and I thought, well, I'm not going to ride my motorcycle in shorts because, well, it's for safety reasons, the same reason I was wearing my helmet. And they got soaking wet, and you could actually tell, your ass crack is darker than the rest of the pants. You just sweat like a pig in them, and then they get stuck to you and you can't lift your leg because they're so stuck, and it's just not a good situation. The best thing to do, like I said, bring your plastic clothes. Shoes, I don't have a pair of shoes here. I used to have a pair of runners, but they got stolen when I was back in Sindangan by some either friends or relatives of my ex-girlfriend, and they just gone missing, so they're gone. I brought 2 pairs of shower shoes. They're this. I don't like the thong type shoes, the ones that go between your big toe and the other toe, because to me they seem very uncomfortable. They give me blisters right between my toes there, and I just can't wear those things. Here, pretty much everybody wears those. It doesn't matter where they go, they wear those flip-flops, slippers. But to me, these ones, the shower shoes, are way more comfortable and easy to wear. They don't fall off, they don't rub between your toes. It's really good. They get dirty, so you gotta wash them because there's dust on the streets and you sweat and it turns into mud. You come home and you got muddy feet. Where did it come from? I didn't step in mud. Well, you made yourself the mud. Uh, no long pants are good. I haven't had any use for any long pants. I've been wearing, I got, I think, something like 5 pairs of shorts and something like 5 or 10 t-shirts that I brought with me. And a couple of them are cotton, or a few of them actually. And I wear them very rarely because of the reasons what I just mentioned. They just get soaking wet, and you can literally wring it out when you're back home. So, and it rains too. So if you get caught by rain, it's gonna get soaking wet. It's like a wet t-shirt contest. So who wants that? Underwear, I usually go commando in anything, and I did that even back home. That's just my style. Some people don't like that. To me, that's the most comfortable way to go. If you do get briefs, make sure that they're synthetic, again, for the same reasons. There's no reason for you to get crotch rot later on because you're staying wet in there all day. A hat would be nice, something to keep the sun off of you, if that's what you prefer. I never brought a hat, and I'm starting to adopt the color of the Filipinos. I'm sure you noticed that my forehead and my face is pretty well tanned because I walk like this anywhere. Umbrella is a good idea, to bring one of those push type umbrella that folds down to like a foot long or something like that. You can fit into your luggage when you come here. That is good. And maybe a foldable type poncho, like a vinyl poncho or whatever, that you can just fold and stick it in your back pocket. That works. You take it with you anywhere, and when it starts raining, because it will, you just put that on. You can just walk home if you want. If not, you just take a cab. It's just as simple as that. But it's always good to be prepared. How do you stay away from the heat? Well, there's a few methods. Most of the bigger stores here have aircon, and you can just, if you're too hot out on the street, you walk inside. You can go inside McDonald's and have a meal. You can go in the mall and grab a drink or something, or just wander the mall and the stores until you get cooled off, and then you walk back out in the heat. It's a fact of life here. You can't really get away from the heat unless you go indoors where there's an aircon. Rental apartments generally don't have an aircon unless it's a really fancy one and they want a ton of money, like $12,000 a month or something like that. They're not gonna have an aircon. They're gonna have a hole in the wall that's covered by plywood, and you're gonna have to take that plywood off and stick your aircon inside there. Yeah, the one that you buy with your own money. They're not really that expensive. They're somewhere around 10,000, 12,000, depending on the size of the unit. Of course, when you buy it, you have to be careful. You take measurements of your room and bring them with you at the store and tell the salesperson, this is how big my room is, how big a unit do I need, and they usually go by horsepower here, not tonnage. In North America, they usually go by tonnage there. So how big a unit do I need? Well, you need 1 ton of refrigeration for every 600 square feet. And you just take the length and the width of your room, and you find your square footage, and then you divide your tonnage by 600, and you know how many tons it is, or you need. Or you multiply your square footage by 600, and then you find out how many you need. Uh, if you get an air con, of course it's going to use a lot of electricity depending on its size, how hot it is, and how many hours a day you're using it. If you're going to leave it cranked to the max and go away for the day, that's going to be running there all day using up your power. There's no point in doing that. You either put it on a timer so that it comes on, say, half hour before you come home, and same at night when you go to sleep, you want to have it on so you can fall asleep in comfort, and then it runs for another half hour after you've fallen asleep, and then it shuts off. There's no reason to have that on all night unless it's unbearably hot and you put it on to a conservative setting. You don't have to have 15 degrees Celsius in the room. The international standard for room temperature is 20 degrees, so I find it way comfortable if it's at 20. If it's anywhere below 20, I get too cold. Then you need covers. And why would you wear covers here if you don't need them? Another alternative to air conditioning here is just a regular electric fan. You can find these pretty cheap. They're everywhere. I mean, everybody owns a fan here. And not a lot of people have air cons like in their private homes. Some do, but most don't, because they don't have the money to buy them to begin with. So the initial investment to a Filipino is pretty high, and then their electrical usage is going to be very high as well. So they tend to not use air cons if they can help it. They'll just buy a fan, and the power usage of a fan is a fraction of what the aircon is. My fan runs day and night here, and yeah, I would like to have an aircon, tell you the truth, but number one, here I'm not in a position to buy it because it's not in the budget, and I don't want my electricity cost to be so high that I can't afford to pay it until I get my money back from Canada, of course. And I just get the fan blowing on me, and it seems to keep it bearable. It dries you. You're not soaking wet all the time, and it lowers your body temperature by a couple of degrees, which makes it bearable. You need to drink a lot of water. That's what I find. I used to drink a lot of water when I was back in Canada too, because I was a cyclist, and I used to drink like a liter an hour there. And here, well, I have to do pretty much the same because it's so hot and you sweat so much. You have to rehydrate yourself, otherwise you'd go into a coma. So a lot of water. I buy my water by the gallon or a 7-liter bottle or something like that. They give you like 7-liter bottle. They say 1 liter is free. So that sounds like a pretty good deal for me, and I just buy that. And I have smaller personal size type bottles that I fill from that container and put them all in the fridge, and I have cold water to drink. I don't like to drink warm water. I've been told that, oh, you should never drink cold water, it's not good for you, warm water is good for your heart, and I really don't understand that theory, honestly. I've been drinking cold water all my life, and my heart still works. So, and I'm 53, so I think it's a wives' tale. Ice, I haven't really seen places where you can buy ice in a bag here, like you can buy back home in a 7-Eleven or at a gas station. You can buy them at the Sari store, and they have these long tube type, well, that big plastic bags, and they fill them with water and tie them at one end and throw them in the freezer, and then they'll sell it to you for a few peso. I don't know how much it is, 10 peso or something like that for one of those. And you just, it looks awkward because the tube is like that big in diameter and it's this long. How are you going to fit that in your glass? Well, they just take a big knife and then they whack it and they break it into fairly large chunks, and they put it in your glass, and then they pour tanduay over top of it, and there's your drink. That's that. So it's not really that difficult. uh, you can stay out of the sun if you want to keep the heat off of you, although I really don't care. If I'm in the sun, I'm in the sun. I'm going to sweat a little, I'm going to drink a little. I bring at least 2 of those bottles, personal size, with me in my backpack wherever I go, and my water is there. And generally wherever you go, they'll have a water cooler, the ones with the huge water bottles. I don't know what they're, 20 liters or 10 or 12 or something like that. And they got hot water on demand and refrigerated water there, and you can always refill your bottles from there. Most bigger stores have those, so it's not like you're gonna run out of water. And they also use umbrellas here. You see women here walking around with an umbrella all the time because they want to keep the sun off of them for 2 reasons. One is heat, and the other one, they don't want to turn dark, heaven forbid. So yeah, you can use your umbrella that you use for rain to protect you from the sun as well. I don't really hear of anybody here using sunscreen. I'm sure you can buy it, and actually I've seen it in my ex-girlfriend's house, but I never seen it in the store, to tell you the truth. And I don't use it. I never used it back in Canada either, because I think with the chemicals they put in it, it can actually harm you more than the sun itself. So which one are you gonna take? Skin cancer from the lotion or skin cancer from the sun? I think I'll take my chances with the sun. That's natural, it's not chemical. Anyway, keep yourself away from the heat if you don't like the heat. If you hate the heat, maybe you shouldn't come here. If you like the heat, you're gonna love it here. Catch you in the next video.